for us. We just got to keep doing what we do.
Yeah.
Everything we do here is manual. Outside of the timer's behind you. We still water by hand. We harvest by hand. We deliver by hand. We don't do it because you know what? It all looks great. We have robotics and really cute, pretty stuff until it breaks.
Right.
Until you look at your balance sheet like, oh, super, I just lost $5 million.
Welcome back to Airdrie Inside. I'm your host, Chris Glass, and we are here at the beautifully smelling facility at Microacres with David Barchard. David, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's awesome. I'm excited to be here.
Now, I can't help but comment again. We talked about this offline, but this place smells so fantastic.
I know, right? Yeah.
What you were saying is all I'm smelling is fresh air.
It is. You know, it's ironic. I love it too because, you know, when you're outside, especially minus 30, come in here, it's nice temperate 22 degrees every day. So staff love it. It's great when you see all the guys outside working. You come in here, it's nice and warm. But yeah, it's fresh air. We just kind of turn this place over every couple hours here. But you get, you know, a couple thousand plants in here too is going to help as well. So
no doubt. Yeah. I feel the oxygen in the place. I think after 4 hours of filming today, my skin is going to look
great.
fantastic.
It's like a bathhouse here. Yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. So welcome to the podcast. We've been trying to book you for a couple of weeks now, and it just hasn't really lined up. So I'm glad
we were able to do it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad we finally got you in. So tell me a bit about yourself and what brought you to Airdrie first. We were talking a bit about that off camera. So give me a little bit about your backstory.
Absolutely. Yeah, I grew up in, born in Edmonton actually, but grew up in Regina. My dad's an engineer, so he ran the refinery out there. And I left after high school and actually did some development work in the Philippines and East Asia for a little bit. And then came back. I did my schooling in BC. And it was 2004. I was just graduating, and I actually found out a cousin out here. So, actually Calgary itself. So flew out here and met with him and kind of I remember coming over the Caffro Bridge and seeing the mountains. It was like a minus 40 February day, but I'm like, you know, I grew up with that. So it was just pretty. And that actually really captured me, kind of that Southern Alberta kind of feel. And so I lived in Calgary for a couple of years, but then 2005 moved to Airdrie, or 2009, and just loved the smaller town kind of feel. Again, a little more affordable in the housing prices everyone's kind of always talked about, but you know, just like the town, like the place. We moved into Reunion and actually been there for almost 15 years now. So really been enjoying it.
And you were telling me you were one of the first 50 houses.
Something like that, yeah. If you come in the Reunion where the church is there, that pathway, those are the show homes. And we built just right across the park there on Reunion Boulevard, the first round. So where the school is, Harrods Crossing, was like 10 feet higher elevation. I remember digging that down, having dust in my backyard for a year. And then actually we moved across from there over down by the pond a couple years back as well. So yeah, I've been in Reunion for many years now.
Excellent. And so when you came to Calgary and then eventually to Airdrie, from what I understand, you have a background in food and restaurant operations. So give me a little bit about that about yourself.
Sure. Before that actually was hospitality. My background is international business and studies. So I did a lot of work in East Europe and Asia, but actually fell into the restaurant industry. Before that was actually the cruise industry. So I worked with, did a lot of managing of the cruise industry up in Alaska and the Yukon during my schooling years. So in between, I worked for Hull America. So one of my schools, we were out early. So mid-April, we flew up to Alaska and was there till mid-September every year for 4 years. So this is great when the dollar was 60 cents to the dollar and paid for education for those years. And then, and actually when I came to Calgary, I had a buddy in the industry and just kind of fell into that. Usual service, front of house. And then from there, took over a bunch of restaurants, worked with the Theatre Group for many years, general managed and operated their properties for many years. And then, started the company as a result of that. We saw a big disconnect in the food chain and supply chain and how to bring product that wasn't, outside of Canada to the local city. And that's what kind of led us to the company.
So I think that's a bit of a fascinating journey of sustainability coming from a cruise ship, which is not the most sustainable thing going out there.
I know, right? Yeah.
To where we are today, which appears to be completely self-sustaining and completely contained. So walk me through that journey. What got you interested in this kind of industry?
Sure. Again, kind of fell into some degree. Like I left the restaurant industry and had a lot of connections downtown Calgary with a lot of guys in business and finance. So just started chatting with one guy one day, and he actually mentioned like sea can farming. So kind of refurbished sea cans. A lot of these companies in the US were doing it.
Really?
And and so we looked at it, and there's a farm in, business in East Ontario doing it. There's one in Boston doing it. So we looked at that, ran all the numbers, and actually, funny enough, ran just numbers don't lie. I've always said that, right? Math doesn't lie. So we looked at the square footage of sea can, and I'm like, these little racks behind us, they're 6 square feet. I'm like, I could pop one of those in the back of that and actually generate about half the revenue of the entire sea can in a 50th of the space.
Wow.
So that kind of led to this microgreen kind of venture rabbit hole. And back then there wasn't a lot of people doing it. So you like zooming on YouTube and trying to find what kind of racks people are using and trying to peer into operations. There wasn't much out there outside of a few large organizations doing it, more leafy greens. So, and we kind of started in our house in Reunion back then. And we graduated to First Community over in East Lake, the first warehouse.
Yeah.
And that's what really made us want to stay near. We had a great relationship with the city. They're fantastic. It's really hard to zone and code what we do because we're kind of like greenhouse, we're this, we're cannabis. Do we grow palm trees in here, right? It's just there's no real definition of what we do.
Yeah.
So it was fantastic working with the teams there, the economic development. And that's what actually made us then again stay when we were looking for this larger property we're currently at.
So I'm always fascinated with the entrepreneur journey and the economic development side, right? Because sometimes you're recreating the wheel and you're doing something that's tried, tested, and true.
Very much so, yeah.
Other times you are cutting a path that nobody else has cut. And I would say this is the latter, not the former.
It's unique. Well, it's kind of fun to say like I'm sure there's some others, we know there's some smaller ones in the area for sure, but we're the largest microgreen farm in Alberta. Probably almost in Canada, actually. So it's pretty cool. So when we hire, it's kind of like you can't learn this. You can't train before this. You're not coming to school, I'm a microgreen farmer, right? So it's a very unique learning curve as we bring people and staff on as well, because there's no background to it, right? You got to kind of figure it out. So it's kind of like gardening on steroids for a lot of people. So
how many employees do you have?
We have 2 full-time and then 2 part-time, and then my wife and I.
Fantastic. So you start out in your house.
Yep.
And I'm assuming that's testing the business model, kind of
to a degree.
Dipping the foot in
also saving labor and costs.
Yeah.
I've opened a lot of restaurants, and ROI is 5 years maybe, and or even breaking even, right? So I've run a lot of financials over my lifetime, and gotta save money. That's it. So having the ability to have no overhead, really, having no employees, being able to do that, we were able to grow quite a substantial business in the basement, be full time in the basement, and then that gave us opportunity to look for the first properties we said over in East Lake and have the ability to do so.
So did your neighbors look at you funny when you were?
No, that's what's funny. Like, there's no you don't see the glow coming from the basement, right? It's not like you hear the sound of wall, right? But no, it's funny. You just would never know, right? So,
of course.
But again, we were very upfront. Obviously, we wanted the city part of it, so we got to inspect all that. But we always wanted to do that always coming from a business perspective versus a hobby perspective. So we had a empty basement, so 1,200 square feet. So we just converted it, and then fundamentally just grew out of it.
Right. Now, you had said something earlier that I want to touch on. You said you had found a gap in the food chain.
Yeah.
I want to pick at that a little bit.
Sure.
So tell me a bit about that gap.
Yeah. Well, being in the
saw.
restaurant, I think the biggest challenge was just on transparency and just honestly doing what you say you're going to do. I think that's the biggest challenge we saw was we order food from a provider or distributor, and it might show up, it might not show up. If it didn't show up, there's an excuse. And funny enough, we actually worked with a lot of local, per se, clients and purveyors, but they, again, wouldn't show up. And so that reliance in that we do what we say we're going to do is very paramount in the business model itself.
Yeah.
And it's so simple. But for me, it's just that term hospitality. How do we actually cultivate and bring value to the client base? And that's always the premise behind the company itself. So the gap was changing the landscape of food and actually just a relationship between the kitchen and then fundamentally the food purveyor themselves, us.
Right. Now, what products are you selling?
For sure.
Like,
yeah,
I see so much behind us.
Okay, I'll quiz you. What is a microgreen?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, yeah, if you had a guess, what do you think of microgreen?
I would think
You've heard the term, right?
Yes, I have heard the term.
I also have, right? So what?
I would think of sprouts. I would think of like you said earlier, leafy vegetables, beans, and stuff like that.
Exactly that. And that's the education side we try to bring forth, because microgreen is just simply a stage of growth. You have a sprout, you have microgreen, and then you have petite green, and then full-fledged lettuce or broccoli.
Okay.
So really, this is a stage of growth. A sprout, I grew up in the 80s, right? Mom would have the sprouts and little thing going, eat everything, right? The alfalfas. Really, microgreens is grown in a medium typically, and you actually cut it. So the sprout, you're eating the root, everything. A microgreen is actually a cut product above the soil, or if you do hydroponics. So really, you're getting at a stage where it has very flavorful, very bountiful on a nutrient basis before it kind of goes to the next stage of that petite green, and then it would keep going to a full-fledged vegetable. So like behind me, we've got broccoli growing. Like that would be 1,000 heads of broccoli there if we actually kept it going and planted it and gave it space in a garden. We just cut it after 10 days.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's really all it is. So, and then from there, we also do what we call petite herbs. So doing basil, cilantro, but again, on a smaller scale as far as size is concerned. So they might be like 2 to 4 weeks versus a microgreen is really about 10 days at most. from the moment we plant it to the moment we harvest it.
So you're really in a position where you can turn around products relatively quickly.
Like everything behind us here will turn over every week.
And that keeps your supply chain just fresh all the time.
We eat food, right? You eat food every day. I eat food every day. And that's really what if we see past this concept of microgreen to like what can actually bring to a client base. So for us in Airdrie, it can come from a nutritional perspective, it can come from a flavor perspective. For us, it's food. We eat it every day, but then it's kind of teaching, educating how to actually use it more than, hey, it's a really cute garnish, but how do we actually incorporate it instead of, say, lettuce? Let's add this to your burger or add this to your eggs in the morning, right? So let's take radish. Radish is spicy, it's peppery. I don't like radish as an adult veg, but as a microgreen, I love hot sauce. I love that spiciness, right? So I add it to my eggs in the morning. So you're kind of getting that flavor perspective versus this microgreen perspective. And that's where we've always kind of come at it from.
You know, it would be interesting to go back in a time machine 6 years ago and ask you if you saw the concerns with the supply chain and the U.S. economy and the tariff issue having an effect on your business. Do you find now that your customers want the stability more than anything, or
yes and no?
Is it the quality of the product?
It's kind of hit and miss. I think when you're dealing with restaurants, you're dealing with mostly with what we do, commercial accounts.
Yeah.
You're dealing with humans and people, and they all have personality styles. So it's not about the microgreen or the food chain or anything. It's really, that is an effect to some degree, like having that reliance where if you need something, you can have it without having it just not show up like we historically were used to. But more, I think we saw a big change after COVID. That was the biggest transition we saw, was just a lot of older chefs, so people who didn't want to be in the industry, just naturally get phased out because they closed up. So I saw a lot of my guys went into banking, they went into real estate, they just left. And then you got a new breed of chefs come in who are either their previous like a sous chef or something like that, or just wanted to try something new. Yeah. So real estate opened at kitchens. They saw ghost kitchens. So we saw this big transition of just the whole food culture and restaurant scenes. That's where for us, it's either they want to work with us or they don't, you know, because they want to have microgreens or they don't. It's kind of black or white. So it's not any actual reason. It's just I just don't do them. It's like saying I don't drink water. There's no real practicality behind it, except they just don't have a vision for it on their plate. So for us, we just find another client. And that's really all it is. Yeah.
Now, do you find your clients are more likely to be an upscale restaurant or
not at all?
No. So
I'd say probably quite the opposite. We have we have a coffee shop chain that we have all 14 locations, and they put it on their grab and go sandwiches.
Oh wow.
We'll do higher end restaurants for sure, but we name a pub, we have it. We do a lot of breakfast spots here in Airdrie. For me, it's food. So you got to kind of get past that concept. Oh, it's really niche. It's really cute, high end. Well, let's just make it available to everybody. And that's where it comes back to us as business owners in the food industry, is managing our labor. So if something increases here, we don't have to put it on to the guest.
Of course.
And that's been the biggest challenge. Oh, my costs go up, so I got to pass it on. Well, maybe not. And I think that's where the challenge as a business owners not necessarily has to go on to the client base if you can find a way to better manage your labor on the back end.
Yeah. Do you see this trend? It's not even really a trend. It just, food is food, as you said. Yeah. Do you see this becoming a bigger part of the food chain?
As far as like microgreens themselves?
Yes.
I think like honestly, it's cheaper. Like if you actually weigh it out, it's cheaper than leafy greens in a lot of respects. And I think the biggest understanding is understanding shelf life, so how long something lasts in conjunction with the price point. You get something cheap, but it lasts 2 days, or you get something that's double the price, lasts 3 times long.
Right.
In theory, you're paying less.
You don't have the breakage.
How much food waste, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing. Like our product might last 2 weeks in the fridge. We found some products, like we had our pea shoots, for example. When COVID hit, it was kind of a fun story. We went down to one of our clients, maybe like 2 months later. They were cleaning out the walk-in, the usual smell test. What's been bad because they haven't worked for 2 months. Yeah. Found some of our pea shoots, good as day one, 2 months later.
Oh, fantastic.
So we've seen, well in 2-3 months in some product. That's not typical, but the point is, though, is you're not going to see that quite often out there with produce.
Right.
So we just want to create it. So everything here is cut. Like behind you have one refrigerator, stays there overnight, out the next day. So we don't carry inventory here. It just goes out right away. So it's cut, gone, and done. So it gets to the restaurant, gets to the client's home within hours of harvest.
And who is shipping it for you? Is that done? Okay, so
we do have distributors in Alberta, but we do our own personal deliveries. Yeah.
Wow.
So we've always done that. We've always done business to business. I like that. I like being that.
Yeah, that face to face
for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, tell me about One Green Acre, the philosophy of One Green Acre.
Yeah. The premise for that was how do we give back? Like for me, business always has to have a philanthropic aspect to it. So One Green Away has always been about how do we do more. So we've worked with Mainsprings quite a bit for years, Airdrie First, to the Airdrie Food Bank. It's actually hard sometimes giving food on a produce side away because we're so used to as a culture getting golden food. it's non-perishable, right?
Yeah,
so
the shelf-stable product.
very much so,
Yeah.
and it's just fast, easy for families on the go, right? So it's actually been almost hard getting that out the door a little bit. We worked a lot with the school boards, the school bank, actually we came out with the school in Airdrie, but they're doing like a taco program.
Oh, wow.
4 years ago, and there's something about 700 kids, parents, and all that. It's like, hey, do you have any leafy greens? So we actually got them on pea shoots.
Yeah.
So we grew pea shoots in a week for 700 people, and it was amazing. It was a different perspective versus traditional lettuce. How do we actually get something else on there? So we do a lot with the 50-year push for 2050 for the Stampede.
Yeah.
We're doing a lot with the 4-H clubs in Alberta. So we're actually having them by next week here too. And that's where we want this facility to actually be an education aspect as well. So we actually have a lot of people. We do a lot with Olds College. I have their students by. I do a lot with SAIT. Go talk to their students for the future upcoming culinary students as well. So we want this to be a center where people can come and learn as well. So it's really cool when kids come in here. Again, mine's 30 outside. They walk in here. It's like, it's 25 degrees.
I like this.
And we do a lot of fun things
Mm-hmm.
with that. And that's why we want a larger facility to be able to accommodate more than just cut greens, sell them, rinse and repeat, right?
So again, going back to that entrepreneurial journey, and learning about this first, right? At some point, you've got to dive in with both feet. So tell me about that decision to make that switch.
Because I was working full-time prior to this, but at the same time, we just got up earlier and got the job done. It was more we just couldn't book any more meetings. It was at the point that it was pivotal where I just couldn't meet with any more chefs, or I just couldn't do more deliveries because I was just stuck with, having a 9 to 5 kind of job kind of thing. So it was just, I kind of looked, I should do part-time. And then it's like, no, I just kind of cut the thread and go.
Right.
And we doubled our business next year. So you just have to and that's just business. You got to kind of do it at some point. So we kind of struggled with that for maybe like a day. Like, well, sure, we shouldn't, but the revenue is there. We just couldn't grow anymore because I just didn't have any more time essentially.
So being time constraint is
very much
really,
so, And then after that, I opened up all day, right? And you're good to go. So and then the business obviously took off more from there, and we've grown every year obviously since.
Now talk to me about scalability, right?
Yeah.
Because what's the next step, right? Like you have 2 employees, plus yourselves, and you're really the driving force behind it. What's growth look like?
It's really hard to say in this market because in the day it's like, I don't know, you could have Billy Bob from Vancouver win the lottery, move to Calgary, like, I'm gonna open the biggest restaurant in Alberta, and they calls us, and our revenue goes up 10 grand a month. So it's really it's really fun. It's true. You'd have some guy just call us because we actually had a restaurant in Lethbridge just call us 2 days ago, put an order in within 2 hours, we're delivering them tomorrow. And they decided to open up another location up here, a huge kitchen that was in Lethbridge. So that increased our revenue X amount over the course of a year. Take that times 5. So it's hard because you're still dictated by human emotions. I'm going to open a restaurant. Who do I have? So a lot of our business is driven by referrals. So he said he was referred to somebody who I didn't even know out of some other random city. People just know us. So that's always been our model. If you're here long enough, you'll just essentially have the business. You'll just be the microgreen people if you do what's right for people. So it's hard. What's your 5-year plan, 10 years? It's hard to know because we'll always be here. What's going to look like is to some degree dictated on people's choices. They open a restaurant, they close a restaurant.
Right.
What I've always said is we grow food, people always have to eat. So there'll always be a uptake in a growth model. What it'll look like is hard to say, but we've grown every year for 8 years. We've never had a recession year. COVID year was almost triple. That's your best year ever from the previous years.
Really?
Yep. And we that was a fun day. Don't talk about that day.
Yes,
all right,
absolutely.
It was a Tuesday.
I was going to ask some
we
questions.
would harvest. Fridges were full. And we got the first call from the chef. Actually, let's backtrack. So about a week before, we had a restaurant kind of like call, say, hey, there's this virus happening. We're actually in solidarity. We're going to shut down. They shouldn't have done that. They lost 2 weeks of business, but they were closing out of solidarity for another restaurant that made a choice to close down. Fair enough. And nothing happened for 2 weeks. And we got this first little call. Hey, we're shutting down for this thing. I'm like, oh, instant. They got another call. It's like 6 a.m. And then there was nothing. And then we got 100 calls and emails at like 10 a.m.
Right.
And we went from down to about $900 in revenue overnight. Wow. Still had rent, still had all that. We never took subsidies. We still had all our staff. We never let anyone go. But what we did was we basically said to Airdrie, we went on Facebook Marketplace, and actually Shop Local was actually a big, and that was actually systemic of one of the restaurants actually closing here in Airdrie that nobody knew about. That's how Shop Local Facebook page actually was created.
I do remember that.
Yeah, when Hayloft closed.
Yeah,
nobody knew about it. So it was interesting. So that was like, so we just said, hey guys, we need help. We had hundreds of pounds in the fridge. So we all came in, repackaged, and just sold off probably 90% of it to Airdrienites overnight.
Wow.
So that, and then from there, we called a salad program, a salad share. So we partnered with a local produce company, a lettuce farm. We actually had Township 27. we partnered with them, got them going with their salad dressings and spices. So we curated basically a salad and vegetable program for 8 weeks. And we did that for almost 2 years.
Wow.
So we basically created like a salad mix here, and this is pivoting overnight to do this. And then restaurants came back on. You know how it went for years, right? But we went down to like almost no revenue, like overnight, gone.
Well, I remember my story. I was working for WestJet at the time, and I think there isn't any worse industry to be in during a global pandemic than travel and tourism. Yep. And I remember having a meeting where we were told that revenue had dropped 90% in a 2 week span, and the booking curve was just destroyed. And it was after that meeting, it was 3 days before the layoff started, and we all went home for the last time. So it happened really quick. So tell me about that moment where you have $900 in revenue coming in. It doesn't seem like you spent a lot of time going, oh, woe is me, or feeling bad about it. You immediately jumped into it.
It's got to figure out, but again, it comes from that perspective as food.
Right.
So everyone has to eat. So how do we pivot to that?
Right.
I won't get down the business model perspective, but we grew a product that was a very quick, high turnover product. So microgreens very fast, 7 days.
Yeah.
A lot of farms then this was kind of people kind of getting into microgreen farming. They kind of got into everything, edible flowers, very long-term crops.
Yeah.
That weren't very conducive with the home consumer. So what happened was those guys were gone.
Yeah.
Because the fact is they were growing have 2, 3, 4 month crops. So they had 4 months with a product that they weren't going to do anything with.
Right.
And they didn't have a model that was conducive with the home consumer. It was for a high-end niche, let's say Michelin restaurant.
Right.
So for us, we always came from a spare tire. Hopefully don't have to use it. So we've always had convenient, approachable crops. And then we cultivated post that, obviously our herb program and so forth, when we had the labor and fundamentally the space to do so.
Right.
But it was a unique time for sure. It just kind of happened. But what else do you do? You just move on, right? Like you can't sulk around. We had people. We had employees. We had a lease. You have to respect and honor that. Yeah. And that's where we were able to rely on people in Airdrie, and it was a huge, and ever since, we've always been continuing to do home service here as well.
Well, I'm really glad that Airdronians rallied behind you and really supported you.
And they always have. We always said we need help or this or that, or within the food programs or giveaways and all that, the hamper programs all every year. And it's fun, Right. But it has to be more than just the growing the business side for sure. Yeah.
Now, one question that I'm thinking of is, you think of, and this is by no means just because it has the name micro in the title, I think of a microbrewery who goes out and makes a very good product and then gets bought out by a giant conglomerate. Is that happening in the industry? Is
it is,
big farm
actually
getting
happened
involved?
To one of the not larger ones, but the most long-standing ones in Calgary.
Yeah.
They were bought out by a farm just north of Calgary. And I won't go into those details, but basically, but it's like everyone wants to do, sometimes you got to stay in your lane. It doesn't always work,
of course,
right? Because that business is kind of similar, but it's not. So I'm not sure how the back end works kind of thing, but we actually absorb most of those clients. Right. Because they called us and said these guys were not doing what they should have done because they just bought this for whatever the details look like.
Right.
But they are definitely getting bought out. You look at what's happening in South Calgary with some of these big guys coming in from Ontario. We'll get into politics of, the grants these guys are getting.
Yeah.
Right. But again, they're leafy green farms. For me, it's the day's just business. Taking care of people. Like for us, we just got to keep doing what we do. Yeah. Everything we do here is manual. Outside of the timer's behind you. We still water by hand. We harvest by hand. We deliver by hand. We don't do it because you know what? It's all looks great. We have robotics and really cute, pretty stuff until it breaks.
Right.
Until you look at your balance sheet like, oh, super, I just lost $5 million.
Right.
It all looks, and that's the biggest thing about us is it's hard for us to kind of actually get grants to do stuff because we're manual. We don't have the robotics. We don't have the AI. We don't have this vested future apparently, but yet everything here is super efficient.
Right.
Because we want to dial in the people. I would say we only hire from Airdrie, but we always want that to be a focal point to have support the families here and so forth and cultivate it from that perspective. We started with that dream. We started with that ability to, I can't imagine like being a restaurant manager during COVID. My guys, half their salaries cut overnight.
Yeah.
Right. And that would have happened to me.
Yeah.
We were one of the most high paid managers in the company. Like it'd be gone. I'm like, and then I have 2 kids. What do you do?
Right.
I'm never gonna let someone dictate my future. So now if we have the ability to do that for somebody else and the stories we've heard and, but doing it the right way, we're not going on. There's so many things out there. Oh, spend $10,000 and you'll get this automated system. You don't need to do that. Just go to Costco, get a rolling rack of this, get started, low overhead, low capital expenditure, and get it started for your family. Worst case scenario, make a little side hustle, make some money, It's going to help you, right? And that's
Right.
always been the belief behind it.
So you had mentioned that you had been a part of helping 700 farms in 60 different countries.
Yeah, we've been
Tell
doing
me
almost
that
6
story.
years now. Yeah, so we started just by, obviously COVID was kind of time to opportunity, kind of get a little more time on our hands
Yeah.
to help and coach people. So yeah, we just kind of started putting the company out there and reaching out and having people work with us and talk to them. So then that got into like Zoom calls, and then it got into sessions, and we've got people on site here. And yeah, so it's been a really kind of special time over the years. And we worked in almost every continent except for Antarctica. I think we're in every continent, to help people. We have connections in Australia. We've worked with in the UK, actually developing like seed trays.
Wow.
And then for us, fundamentally, by teaching, we learn.
Of course.
I learned there because I work with guys in Caribbean. They're at 100% humidity, and they're trying to grow a crop that's so tough to do. So how do we work together to find a solution for them? And then I can apply those same principles to our farm when we have challenges here. So it's always been reciprocity in that manner too. We've always learned so much, but you hear stories. We have farms that are making $500,000 a year in revenue and more, and they're massively successful. And they started 6 years ago. I have guys doing other businesses now. So it's neat hearing the stories now we've been doing for so long. And
of course,
for me, it's always more than just the business. How do we work together collectively on the farming side as well? But now more so because I think there's so much information out there, Mike. There's so many videos out there. How do you navigate those channels? And I think that's where I try to come in and say, let's just keep it simple, guys. Go back to square one, kind of how we started with it. Not saying we're right or wrong. It's more, it's worked for us.
This model's worked for us.
So keep it simple. Don't overthink it. And you don't have to spend $20 on a tray and then be out of business because you spent $10,000 and you're not paying it off. And then you're back to traditional business models. Keep it simple. Yeah.
Kind of that rising tides lift all boats philosophy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And indoor farming is moving in that direction. You're seeing climate change, you see a lot of these things. So, and you're seeing food shortages and challenges. So if you can grow inside, I have guys in the UK taking sea cans and basically creating bunkers out of it to insulate it for the wintertime. Because they're growing like in North Wales. So it's neat to see what creative things are coming out here. I love it. So, and then we learn from it. Yeah.
Now, walk me through some of the plants that we have behind us here. Because like I said, the camera isn't going to do it justice. The visual is stunning.
Yeah,
so what do we have here?
Shop here, a little bit, the lights go off, so they're going to go to sleep here. They need to
go to bed.
That's true. Yeah. So we do about 12-hour on, 12-hour off cycle. So we run about 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. So we're starting to lose them here. But behind us here alone, I'll have you guess. How many crops do you think, if the camera pick up, just in this where the lighting is?
Just where the lighting is, I see 6 or 7 different crops.
15.
I think 15. Okay, so
we do 70 crops here. Okay. So behind us we have broccoli, we have kohlrabi, we have kale, we have dill, we have nasturtiums, pea shoots, we have buckwheat right here, purple cabbage. We've got some borage at the far end there, a little spicy blend full of cresses.
Right,
and that's just in these 2 racks here, and then down there is just the remainder of the farm. But yeah, we do about 70 different products. And it's always been year round. We're not seasonal. I've never liked that. And that's part of the change in the industry. I don't like this. Hey, it's a seasonal product. Guys, we live in Calgary and Airdrie. There's nothing seasonal. 6 months a year, snow on the ground.
Nothing grows
here. It even comes in because we can't even support it with gas and greenhouses. It's coming from out of province or out of country, right? So this whole, it's a seasonal. It's not seasonal. You're still getting stuff from elsewhere. So it's kind of funny, but it's true, right? So we try to curate that thought pattern where peas don't have to be this spring product. How do we make it a year-round product? On the culinary side. So everything here is year round and grown. We don't stop in the summer because another might bring new stuff in. But yeah, and it's one price year round. We don't do seasonality for prices because it's the same whether we grow in summer or winter with the temperature in here.
That must really help your clientele allow continuity on the menu,
for
right?
Sure.
Like,
I grew up, that's what I did in the restaurants. Like it was like a commodity. Remember, I can't remember. I think they broccoli or cauliflower, but you'd get it. And it'd come in one day, $80 for a case. The next day it was $130. And there's nothing you do about it.
Right.
You only, like when we would order, you don't know the price. They were just changed like literally daily because some sort of labor dispute Texas happening. This guy went on this and that. And then
hurricane hit somewhere.
I remember we were working one day at the bar and when not this one, but obviously years ago when the froze again in Florida, limes were $5 a lime.
Yes.
And you could not get a lime in Calgary because people wouldn't use it. So there's no garnish. Nothing, gin tonic, no lime, nothing done. Yeah. Right. So for us to have a temper control environment, mitigates all those external factors you find with typical agriculture.
Now, if I'm a consumer at home, how do I use microgreens in my day to day? Because that's one question. Because I think my wife would love this concept and the freshness of it.
It is like, and that's what we're trying to make it more approachable. Yeah. It's like, it's really cute, but it's not a lot. For me, it's like I said, it's like a little pinch of salt. You don't want too much, but you want to flavor it. So that's why for us, there is a nutrition aspect to it. And we've worked with a lot of families. There's no other claims of nutrition. I don't believe in that. But like we have seen health benefits for a lot of families and a lot of donations for that kind of stuff. Like broccoli will have sulforaphane in it. Sulforaphane does certain tends to help people in certain areas. But for us, peas have protein in it, right? There's going to be vitamins and all that, but that's one area of it. But for us, it's like, does it taste good? I actually like it on a burger, or I like it on this. I add it in our morning, or add broccoli to your smoothie, or sneak it into your kids, whatever it is. So we have a few menu cards or recipes like that. But for us, it's always been a conversation piece. Talk to families, they'll come on and say, hey, so do you like spicy? Do you like more kind of neutral, kind of clean items like broccoli? Like, what's your goal? So we'll usually try to make that always the case. And like same thing, really like cool. Pseudo Farms, we work with them when they open up seasonally, which is great. And we're working now with Local Ranch, actually just opening. We've worked with Wayne for years. In the old days, he actually used to take, like when these all harvested, all the mats are this one-time use, he would use it for feed for his chickens. So we had a great relationship for years. And then when they opened up here, actually locally, just a couple months ago, now we're selling out the front there, also with another great lettuce farm. So you can get microgreens, your lettuce, and all your protein. So it's sweet. Yeah,
your local ranch is taking off here in Airdrie. Oh, yeah. You keep hearing,
it's great.
Keep hearing about it.
They did an amazing job,
not that they're on the podcast right now, but we'll give them a small shout out awesome, for doing fantastic work. That's great. Okay, so where can I find more information, right? So if I want to learn, if I want to bring this in, because you're right, there is that education aspect.
Very much so,
and I have a feeling once you go down this path, you're not going back to store-bought shaker spice or anything like that.
So our website, we have a lot of information. So we have all the products on there. I call it it's called like a fresh sheet, but it's basically like tasting notes. So we have grow product might have like, is it zesty, is it this? So we'll have all peppery, whatever we want to attribute to that specific one. Like we actually grow cantaloupe here, literally cantaloupe microgreen. I'll have you try it after.
I was gonna say,
I know, right? So it's gonna blow your mind, right? But it's literally the cantaloupe seed, but it's very like it literally tastes like the rind of a melon, right? So add that to your dessert, like throw in ice cream, right? Or just add it to your breakfast, or add it to your smoothie. So, but all have a tasting note behind it, and then there's a couple little more bits about us and the farm itself and all that kind of stuff, but. Yeah, the website's the best way to do it, microacres.ca.
Okay. Now, last question for you.
Sure.
And then I'm going to let you get back to your day. Give me a recipe. Give me something that you like to cook with microgreens. What is your go-to at home?
I'm a pasta guy, so we'll do the traditional basil and cilantro. Cilantro is one I like to try to get people on because I was like, I hate it or don't like it. How we grow it doesn't have that traditional soapy kind of note to it. It's quite young. It's actually sweet at a young stage. So I always add that, integrate that. But the best way actually for families, I had one of my old managers, he was actually my former chef in my restaurant. He cultivated a thing called sneaky mac and cheese, where really like mac and cheese, but actually integrate broccoli into it. So it's basically not disintegrate, but it'll kind of just really blend right in there. It's almost like little specks of basil, essentially little green, but you're getting, a ton of nutrients in for kids. So we call it sneaky mac and cheese. We always encourage that with the families to kind of try that out or add it to a smoothie in the morning. There's no flavor per se behind it, but you're getting all the integration, the nutrients and stuff behind it. So it's quite nice. Yeah.
Well, what a really cool Airdrie story.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun. It's a good journey.
Never cease to be amazed by what creativity people have in our city.
It's amazing what's happening here. We have the pleasure of working with Smart Start. So we're second year doing that this year, and excited to see what these guys do. Just seeing these, we have these dreams and visions, and it's a collective community. If we work together towards that, it's going to be a really neat next 10 years together for sure.
Tell me a little bit about Smart Start, because I hear this program has been a lifeline for a lot of entrepreneurs and small business. So tell me what it means to you.
Yeah. So again, we were approached last year to do this from the economic team, and we've worked with them hand in hand for years. And there's an opportunity to kind of just work with, so it's either a concept company coming in or bricks and mortar. Yeah. So usually under 3 years development, and just so just a great plan. It's not an Airdrie concept, it's across larger concept. Across Canada, I think North America as well. But the premise being is just people can come here and you have mentorship at the workshops, the programs that help it just gives people, like whether it's financial or taxation, or you have the ability to talk to a lawyer. So you have all these little people that just have more information than what you could even think about.
Right.
There for you for that duration of the program. So do meets and greets, kind of like the first meetings like speed dating. So you kind of meet everybody and then kind of choose who you want to work with, because it's got to fit as well.
Of course.
But we had amazing guys from, florists to like doing car starting to, gaming lounges. It's such a variety, and it's really cool to see all those concepts within one community. And so I'm really excited to see the next one starts this month. So doing that 2 weeks from now, so get started again, and I get to meet other people in the industry longer. I've been with Smart for 10 years, so learning from them, and ultimately, I think it's just hand in hand. We help each other.
Yeah, it's again one of the true Airdrie stories has been you think there's a bunch of businesses competing for a dollar in the city, and you think that's cutthroat. And instead, it's just this incubator group of people who are supporting each other and wanting everybody to succeed.
People know people. Yeah, we've always helped. Like we do Brockway, we do these guys, and we deliver. Then all of a sudden, like Kelsey is one of our clients at Brockway, and we go to her house. So it's just like people know people, and then we go there for our vehicles, and we go here, right? So it's awesome, and that's where it can't be about butting heads. About how do we collectively grow together as businesses, as people, but fundamentally as a community of airdrie. Yeah.
And I like how you snuck in collectively grow together while we're sitting in front of a bunch of microgreens growing in front of us. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with me. This was excellent.
Lovely. Thanks so much.
And now let's go try that cantaloupe.
There we go. Let's do it.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here on Airdrie Inside. We're going to be back with more great episodes coming up here at Microgreens.
Again, just a little cilantro just before it gets a leaf on it. Britton, I'll have you try a little bit here too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But very young. Yeah, but cilantro, but.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, just clean. Yeah, because you're not getting that full kind of like a big, large leaf you're quite accustomed to, right? So it's just delicate. It's just a little softer, and there you go.
It feels like my mind is playing tricks on me.
Neat, hey?
Yeah.